drummers and those aspiring to be drummers, and just those curious. YouTube, you can put your ideas on there and maybe people will watch them. Um, Today, I'm actually not going to play anything or show any little techniques, but I'm going to tell you, let me turn my snare off here, a cautionary tale about the desire for really fancy things. So, if I go back to probably the most pivotal, that's not a word, pivotal time in my drumming history, probably about maybe 2 years in, I was playing a lot, taking lessons, starting to play in different kinds of groups. I was more on the academic side of things. Some people maybe go the other route. I have a good friend who was maybe more in the rock bands even earlier on. I was more on the academic side of things. I was a subscriber to Modern Drummer magazine, which I haven't subscribed to in years. Sorry, guys. Which, of course, had lots of ads. And it had lots of really fancy, cool drummers that I've learned a lot from. And they had really cool drumsticks that they signed their name. And they had, the Neil Peart Ludwig drum set with all the really cool stands. And, as a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grader, you're thinking, man, if only I had one of those drum sets, I would be good. Somehow in my mind, I thought, wow, if I had the gear that I need to succeed, I will magically become a good player. And so here's kind of my cautionary tale a little bit. It's turned out kind of okay. So I really had this idea that I needed a double bass drum pedal. Now, a double bass drum pedal, I don't actually have the whole thing here, but it allows you to simulate. I'll show you basically part of that. Allows you to simulate having a double bass drum, like 2 bass drums, has 2 pedals, and it's really complicated. There's like a drive shaft, and there's all these parts, and a lot of people use them, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just I had thought in my 7th grade mind, if I had a double pedal, I would be good. Now, never mind that I was playing, in big band and like really simple stuff. I'm in junior high. Shout out to Mr. Bramman, one of the best teachers out there, and my band teacher. So I thought, yeah, I need to have this, magnificent piece of equipment. It will just unleash my creative power that I possess as a 12-year-old. Now, don't get me wrong, some who are 12 might be able to hang with that. You have the Buddy Rich started when he was 2, supposedly. Taps the Drum Wonder. There's a book about that Mel Torme wrote. I think it was what it was. So I needed this drum pedal, and I was fortunate to have really supportive parents that were able to, at the time, to help with this request. And so, yeah, I got the really expensive drum pedal. Now, I got the drum pedal, and have I actually ever used the double part of the pedal? No, I've like a couple times. I'm not a metal drummer. I don't play metal. I don't play blast beats. I'm not a raucous guy. I practiced a lot, and I can keep up with the best of them with my single foot. And this is actually the pedal. I have another pedal, but I actually like this one better. So I guess maybe it's a twofold thing. One was I needed to have this pedal to succeed. This is a DW5000. Still pretty well regarded. There's still some people that use these out there, like Steve Smith of Journey was using one of those. I mean, he's good. I mean, he's in the magazines, and that means you need to have one of those, right? And Vinnie Colaiuta was using one, and so on and so forth. So I have the pedal. I'm not really using this extremely expensive pedal. It was, you know, how many years ago? Many years. I won't say how many years. So this is actually for those who aren't into drum equipment, this is the part of the attachment where you stick another beater in here. I just never really use that part. In fact, I was thinking about trying to make 2 pedals out of this. So I'm going to say you probably don't need what you think you need. I'm not saying to buy junk. Don't buy the cheapest thing, which is another tendency I have, but you know, you want to buy something reasonable. But and this goes for like kids and adults. I've known of adults that and people like me love when this happens. Adults start playing drums and they play for 2 years, but they buy like thousands of dollars worth of gear that they never really use because turns out they're like, you know, 50 and they kind of get bored with it. Well, that's fantastic for people like me because we can go in, oh yeah, I will buy your, you know, cymbals and all your stuff for a huge markdown that you barely played. Anyway, so that's kind of my cautionary tale on just be careful that you probably don't need what you think you need to succeed. And my experience is mostly drums, but I think that can go for really anything. I mean, bikes, you know, you are not probably, unless you're, you know, maybe you are, but if you're not a Cat 3 racer, you probably don't need a $10,000 bike, or maybe they don't even need $10,000 bikes. If you're not an Olympian or in the Tour de France, you probably don't need what you think you need. And that's the same goes for the drums. Same goes for just about anything, really. So that's kind of my just urging for those who wish that they could have the coolest stuff. You're gonna get way more mileage out of just learning how to play, practicing. And I'm gonna try to do another video, and there's many videos out there on this, basically talking about the same thing of, you know, what to look for if you're gonna be buying equipment and the prevailing view of, you know, where you put your money in some of this stuff. You probably, unless you're a metal drummer and you're wearing I knew a guy that wore like wrestling shoes and he was legit. Yeah, he probably needs a good bass drum pedal for what he was doing. If you're like a jazz-ish sort of person like I was and kind of am, you probably don't need, at the time, this was the coolest pedal. I mean, there's now many more that are much more fantastic, but you probably don't need a $500 bass drum pedal. And I wish I could tell my, you know, junior high version of me, hey, why don't you go practice and like learn how to use it, learn how to use what you have. You know, yeah, maybe if it's really junky, maybe you can get an upgrade, but you probably don't need the best. So that's kind of my urging today, and I hope that helps parents too. You like sometimes maybe you either don't want to buy the most expensive thing. Yeah, you probably shouldn't buy the most expensive thing. You should buy something that's reasonably quality. And so I might do another video on that, and I can speak more to drums, but I'm sure others might have similar things to say about, you know, other instruments. Hope you find that helpful, and I hope you have a great day.